Hello and welcome to episode 7 of BD TV. My name's Peter Keane from BD Consultancy, and you're one of hundreds of people from around the world who are joining us today to hear directly from someone in your position, a senior figure in business development or marketing at one of the professional firms. The format is similar to what we've had in previous weeks. We're going to have an open discussion for approximately 10 minutes. There'll be a poll during that discussion, and I'm going to ask our guest this week to reflect on the findings from that poll. And then, as we did last week, I'm going to be joined by someone who's an ally to the firm, about 10 or 12 minutes in, who's going to host the Q&A. But more detail on that as we go through. If I may just start by welcoming our guest today, who's Richard Whilding, Richard's Pursuit Director at KPMG. Before this, he had senior roles at Mercer, BPP, and Deloitte. He's a charming guy and a natural collaborator with excellent professional service experience. So he's going to be able to share today a really well-informed view as to what's happening within BD and professional services today. Richard, welcome along. Thank you very much for joining us.
Peter, thank you, and thanks for having me on today. Great to talk to you.
Great. Well, pleasure. Now, I'm going to start. I welcome you here, but I'm going to start with a cheeky question, if we may, right at the start. Now, you're the first representative we've had from one of the big four accountancy firms, and I'm going to share the poll for everyone who's dialing in as we speak, because one of the things we are sensing in the market at the moment is that the perception of the value that big four bring is under some sort of attack, and that's both from government and regulators, and also it's interesting to know how clients are going to be responding as we go through COVID. I saw something this week saying that BDO is actually now the second most popular auditor of listed companies in the UK. And so the poll today asks, do you think the perceived value to business of a Big Four advisor will change this year? And we've got a range of options, and I'm sharing this just for anyone who can't see the poll live, who's watching on YouTube. Some options are, yes, actually it will be stronger, either because people want the security of the badge during a crisis, or because the Big Four have the skill and expertise to deliver a substantively different service. There's an option for no change, and then there's two options for yes. Either the Big Four dominance will be weakened slightly as businesses prioritize cost savings, or finally it'll be weaker as people will choose other advisors that they believe are better placed to help them. Richard, I'm going to run it for another few seconds. I see the votes rolling in here very quickly. For everyone who's on live, I think there's another 15 or so of you yet to vote. Simply click which one of those 5 options you feel is closest to your view. And then, Richard, I'll ask you if you may just to respond live to what it's saying. Okay, let me see. Okay, we're getting a slight leader here, which is suggesting, and I'll just end the poll so this doesn't in any way tilt future votes on it. We've got a slight win here for people saying they think it'll be weaker as businesses prioritize cost savings. That's got 32% of the vote. Then followed by others feeling that actually there might be a choice for other advisors for substantive reasons because they might be better placed to help. But some 20% of people saying actually it'll be stronger because you guys have the skill and expertise, and a few, almost 10%, saying people will still want the security of the badge. Richard, I've shared those results with you now. How does that land with you as someone who's leading the charge for one of the big four?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see that feedback. I think we're going into a pretty difficult period in the economy. I was listening to a speech the other day by the CEO of Vodafone, and he was talking about the role that government and the regulators play, and the fact that they're going to have to stress test all sectors. In the past, we've had the stress test of the banks during the financial crisis. But if you're going to stress test all the sectors and help this acceleration of the recovery, you're going to need organisations to work together and not kind of break them up. So I think from our perspective, we'll see the big four probably in a similar shape to where we are at the moment. And I think there will be a change in the way that governments, communities, and business work together. We're going to go through the world's biggest recapitalisation over the next few months. It's never been done before. It's been done by country or by sector, but not around the world. And I think everyone's going to have to pull together to help markets improve.
And talking of pulling together, one of the things I enjoyed when I was in house with one of the big four was big things happened in the news, and normally the firm had some sort of involvement in it. Is KPMG involved in the sort of in the government or the social response to COVID and how we defeat it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I probably should say that, there's been a number of professional services firms you read about doing all sorts of great stuff to help with communities during this time. I think one thing that was really resonated with us was when KPMG was working on the Nightingale hospitals, and we worked as a part of a consortium to help operationalize those hospitals. So we're able to bring all sorts of people with different skills onto that project, and it caused a huge amount of pride for us, and obviously for a very rewarding experience for those working on it. That's from a government perspective. From a business perspective, you've got organisations trying to understand the complications of furlough, and that's changing now with the JRS and flexible furlough. So, we're very much in the middle of all that, helping around payroll, employment law, working with the HMRC, and the second thing is we're doing a lot with clients as they kind of move into the recovery and the new reality of bringing, helping them get back to the workplace. So we're kind of developing apps so that people can either bring people into factories, offices, or using something that we did in Singapore a couple of months ago of opening up the restaurants and the bars and hotels, and how to do that in a health and safe way.
Okay. Now, Rich, as one of the challenges of these chats is we want to cover it all in 20 minutes, and we want to go macro, and we also want to go granular. You're the pursuit director, which to some people might sound like you're coaching cycling. What does that actually mean at KPMG, and what are you seeing on the ground at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, it is coaching. So we're small teams, and we're very much in the business, helping to empower and upskill colleagues as they sell in the new virtual world. And that's a mixture of getting them technology ready so that they're able to deliver ideas and work in an agile, impactful and relevant way, as well as helping them think about, well, actually, how do we bring this empathy right now? How do we listen and be curious, not just come with the ideas and the solutions? So we're seeing a real shift in terms of that. And secondly, the whole world of RFPs has changed. The way people are buying, what they're buying and how they're buying is changing. We're seeing the RFPs are dropping, not just because of business activity, but because clients are moving to decision making much more quickly, with confidence, with strong governance, and therefore you need to be agile to keep up to speed with how clients are buying right now.
And are those without giving away too much confidential information, is the content of those RFPs similar, or is that also changing?
It's also changing, and you've got real emphasis. Of course, you're going to see lots and lots of technology as people look to deploy or upgrade new technology. You've seen the rise in cybersecurity with the amount of people working from home. You've obviously got the areas of kind of financial services and restructuring. So there's a number of areas where we're seeing increased demand from clients.
Yes, and you're close to you're close to British business. What's your sense now? How is their need for advisory relationships going to change? Yes, there's going to be more around tech and technology risk and security. Is anything else going to shift, do you think, in the next 6 months?
Yeah, so we talk about kind of the merger of four things. You've got COVID-19, you've got Brexit coming back, and then you've got this acceleration of not just technology, but also sustainability. And in this humanitarian crisis, the environmental issues really do come to the fore. So that's a big boiling pot for organizations to think about, their operating models and their business models. So they don't want the answers, but they want organizations to help them think about how to validate the challenges, opportunities, and constraints ahead of them. So I think it's exciting times, but it's obviously difficult given in economic conditions.
Yes, absolutely. And the final thing from me, just before we move on to the Q&A, we have a lot of people on here who run BD and marketing teams in the professions. What's really working for you at the moment doing that? Anything that's really cutting through?
Yeah, so we've just launched an internal playbook called Client Connect, and it focused on 3 or 4 kind of main areas to help consultants engage with their clients. So there was one around how to stay connected and how to remain connected. So tips to engage with clients using collaboration tools, using empathy, questioning, how to bring perspectives that obviously all the content goes with, as you'd expect, to all the different areas that we could be supporting clients right now. Thinking about commercial considerations given the impact that our clients have got, and how do you motivate account teams and sales teams? How do you keep that communication going throughout this period, so everyone knows what's going on and the client continues to get the very best out of what we do?
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Rich. I'm going to pass across now to the Q&A. There's some questions have come in advance of today that people want to ask you about, and there's also a Q&A function at the bottom of the screen should anyone want to ask something live now. We're delighted that the host for the question and answer today is Bob Mytton. Bob has run Mytton Williams branding and design consultancy for the last 25 years, serving professional firms. And many of you will know him as him and his team as the people who create the front covers on PM Magazine every month. I've repeatedly been impressed by how Bob's able to cut through a wealth of data and anecdotes and intelligence and get to something that's a really clear and simple message. So I'm hoping he's going to be able to do that with you today. May I just pass you across? Thanks very much, Richard. I'm just going to pass you across to Bob now.
Hello.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. Thanks very much for those kind words, Peter. So I'll jump straight in. I worked with KPMG many years ago on global marketing comms and things, and I was always very aware of the sheer scale and size of the business and how many divisions and sectors you worked in. So I guess the first question I wanted to ask you in these current times is, is there a conflict between the scale of KPMG and its ability to act quickly when it's quite important at the moment? So.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the big challenges that we had when everyone's using different technologies is how do you come together as a global firm? And what really impressed me was that we moved from 20,000 to 200,000 people all working on Microsoft Teams and collaborating over video, and that was done within just a matter of days. And both clients and colleagues saw huge benefit in that. I think secondly, we saw the movement and liquidity of mobility of talent. So, getting people on projects onto Nightingale, which was a high priority in a busy period for us. So the ability to move people around the business for the benefit of our clients was really impressive. And I think thirdly, it's the global aspect. You can bring the learnings from China or from Italy or from other markets to clients, so that they're able to kind of understand where things have been working, lessons learned, and I think that's very powerful for clients.
Great, no, thank you. And what about sort of changes in terms of the brand? How do you think the brand might change as a result of everything that's going on and COVID-19 and everything.
Yeah. Do you know what, Bob? That's really interesting. So I was on a call the other day, and we heard from two CEOs, the outgoing CEO, Mike Cooper of Sainsbury's, and Alison Rose at NatWest, and they both talked about purpose. Purpose for NatWest is all around, kind of really bringing that kind of financial education, across communities, improving that, and obviously looking after, their clients. So, during this difficult time, and then you hear about Sainsbury's, and they're obviously the priority shopping for elderly and key workers, paying their smaller suppliers on delivery. So this social purpose is important. And we've just relaunched our values at KPMG, and we've got areas of integrity and excellence and courage. But the ones that really resonated with me were together, where we talk about, we respect and draw on the strengths of our own differences. And the fifth one, and really importantly, is we say for better, which is, what we do matters. And I think this whole purpose will be really powerful in the way that firms, market and position themselves with clients. And just from a consumer perspective, I'll finish by, I think a recent survey that 70% of UK consumers would now start to buy from companies that prioritize purpose over profit. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I see that more and more in professional services, purpose and values, and being able to articulate that, write it down and share it internally is so important. So that's pretty interesting to hear. The next question, I guess, is about experience and the brand experience, and how do you maintain that consistency of the KPMG experience when you're all working remotely and often at such speed?
Yeah, it's probably three things. It's probably a mix of good leadership, good communication, and good technology. So being very clear on what we're setting out to achieve and what standards we want to set. Make sure that everyone knows what's going on with the client and with your colleagues. And thirdly, making sure that you've got the tools to be able to deliver whatever it is, in the most effective way. We had an opportunity where we pitched and delivered the work to a client, and we weren't even in the same country. It won't surprise you, it was a robotics project, but it shows the speed with which you now can work in that consistent manner.
Yeah, super. Okay, I'm aware of the time, so just two more questions. So I guess in light of what's been happening, I guess what's your biggest learning on a professional level?
Probably don't assume that everyone's going to be impacted by the same way in this pandemic. Don't assume everyone's busy, because some people have time to think about things. Don't assume that everyone's quiet, because some people have got very busy family and work lives. And don't assume that everyone's okay, because sometimes this affects people in different ways. So checking in with colleagues and clients is really important right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And lastly, the question that Peter always asks and often asks is, what are you missing most during lockdown?
Freedom. Freedom. I missed the chance to have face-to-face time with clients and colleagues, friends and family. But be grateful for what you've got.
Yeah, super. No, that's great. Thank you very much. Well, it's 20 past, so I think we'll call it then. And thank you very much, Richard. That's been really fascinating hearing those insights and the way that KPMG is handling everything. Thank you very much to the BD team for inviting me to do this Q&A. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. BD TV will be back next week, same time, but you'll be hearing from how Osborne Clarke has been navigating the situation from their New York office. So thanks very much. Thanks again to Richard, and have a good afternoon, everyone. Goodbye.